What's up YouTube's PZZSTN here, and today I'm going to be doing a review of my 15-inch MacBook Pro. Let's start by taking a look around the computer. On the front, you will find a cavity which makes lifting the display with your finger much easier. To the right of that, you will find a sleep indicator light, as well as an infrared port that is used for the Apple remote. On the left side, you will find all the ports. We have a MagSafe power connector, which is Apple's battery charging technology for their notebooks. The connector magnetically adheres to the port, so that way if someone should trip over or yank on the cable, the connector will come free without taking the laptop with it. Next to that is a gigabit Ethernet connector. Then we have a FireWire 800 port, two USB 3.0 ports, an SD-XC slot, and finally a line input and a headphone microphone combo for using headsets. Further along, you will find a battery level indicator. Pressing the button will cause some lights to turn on, indicating how much power you have left in your laptop. If you are charging the computer, then the end light will blink, indicating that the battery is reaching that level. On the back, you will find nothing but a black plastic hinge cover, which is technically called a clutch cover. Be careful with this piece, as it is a bit fragile. Mine already has a hole in it, and I don't know when, where, or how it got there. On the right side, you will find a Kensington lock port, as well as a SuperDrive slot loading disk drive. This drive is capable of reading and writing CDRs, CD rewritables, as well as DVD-RARs, DVD rewritables, DDR with dual layer, DVD plus R, DVD plus R dual layer, and DVD plus RWs. It also has a 10x write speed. On top of the computer, you will see nothing but an Apple logo. When the computer is on and in use, the logo will glow white. Something worth noting is that the logo is simply a window that shows the back of the LCD panel, so the Apple logo's brightness is the same as the LCD brightness. On the bottom, you will find 4 rubber feet, as well as some tiny Phillips screws which hold the bottom panel in place. You will also see the FCC and serial number information near the hinge. Opening the lid, you will find a large multi-touch glass trackpad for navigating the computer and performing gestures. You will also find a full-size black backlit chiclet-style keyboard. On either side of the keyboard, you will also find 2 speakers, which sound excellent. In the upper right corner, you'll find a dedicated power button, which is something that I prefer over the Retina's power button, which is integrated into the keyboard. Then, taking a look at the display, you will see a nice and large 15-inch LED backlit LCD. Mine happens to be the anti-glare model, so surrounding the screen is an aluminum bezel with MacBook Pro branding on the bottom. The anti-glare screens are actually higher res than the basic glossy model. This is a 1680 by 1050 display, unlike the glossy one, which is only 1440 by 900. Above the display, you will find a 720p HD FaceTime camera, which is good for video conferencing, face cams, or taking goofy photos in photo booth. To the left, you will see an ambient light sensor, which is not visible on the glossy models, and to the right, there is a hidden green indicator light that comes on when the FaceTime camera is in use. Okay, so this is just a quick demo of the FaceTime HD camera on the 15-inch MacBook Pro. So as you can see, looks pretty good. I'm using photo booth to record this, so yeah, there you go. And I believe that this camera, even if I'm using the photo booth, which shows it in 4:3, I believe this is actually a 16:9 aspect ratio camera, so there you go. So yeah, now you know what it's like, so there you go. Now let's talk about specs. This thing has an Intel quad-core 2.3 GHz Core i7 processor, 8 GB 1600 MHz DDR3 RAM, a low-powered Intel HD 4000 integrated graphics processor with 384 MB of video RAM, as well as a dedicated high-powered NVIDIA GeForce GT650M graphics processor with 512 MB of VRAM. It also has a 500 GB HDD for storage. Okay, so now that you've seen all the specs and all the hardware and stuff of this computer, let's go ahead and see how fast it starts up. Now I will go ahead and say that because this is the previous generation MacBook Pro, don't be expecting anything too earth-shattering. However, it is a pretty decent boot up speed, and I am quite happy with it. It's fast enough for my liking. So, let's go ahead and pop this thing open, and angle you guys up, and do this. Now, this is my second take of this particular clip, and this is actually my third time turning it on sequentially because I needed to toggle a setting so that way you guys could get a good idea of how fast this goes, or how fast this turns on, but it's still pretty good. Actually, this is an insanely fast boot up speed. Yeah. Anyways. And again, that is not my background. Oh well. I don't know why it's so set on me having the Mavericks background. I wanted it to have the mountain lion background. In fact, that's what I set it to before this take. Jeez. Anyways, that's going to be okay. So as you can see, that was a very that was actually a kind of a fast boot up because I had turned it off, you know, kind of soon, or you know, kind of shortly before I did this. So there you go. So the RAM is quite clear, but usually it takes about maybe 30 seconds to boot up. So, but like I said, that was just insanely fast for some reason. But there we go. Now in terms of like, you know, speed and such, well, you saw me open up system preferences. It's okay. Like I say, this has a spinning hard drive in it, and the reason why it has a spinning hard drive in it is because, in my opinion, solid-state drives, while they are nice and fast, they're a little bit expensive, you know, per gigabyte. You know, you have to pay quite the premium, and you don't really get that much space, you know, as a result, which is a little bit annoying. So I'd like for that to, you know, come down a little bit. And I've heard, although I heard this about 2 years ago, so I can't really say this for sure anymore, but I did hear that solid-state drives kind of have a significantly lower amount of reads and writes before they finally fail. It's about 1 million from what I've heard, and that sounds like a lot, but it really isn't if you think about it. And that's why you're discouraged from defragmenting things like flash drives and SSDs, because that will bring those, you know, those reads and writes up fairly quickly in a very short amount of time. So that'll basically kill a solid-state drive. So, but that's okay because there's no defragmenting a Mac anyways. So let's go ahead and open up iTunes. Bam, pretty much instant. Let's open up the App Store. Actually, the App Store isn't a really good example because the internet is kind of slow back here. iPhoto. Let's see what this brings up. Alright, and some of this stuff I think is being pulled from the internet. Yeah, no, this is all local. So there you go. Actually, no, that section there isn't local. Let's go ahead and open up. Let's start up Minecraft. Now, something interesting to note about the MacBook Pro 15-inch, and this also applies for the Retina model, is that there are actually two graphics cards, as you saw when I was listing the specs. There's a low-powered Intel integrated graphics card, the Intel HD 4000, and then there's the NVIDIA GeForce GT 650M. Right now, this computer is currently using the Intel card because it's not doing anything particularly graphically intensive. However, when I click on play here, and it opens up Minecraft, it's going to switch to the NVIDIA card. And if you really pay attention to the screen, you won't be able to see it on the camera, but in real life, if you really pay attention to the screen, you'll see kind of a flicker, alright? That's when it's switching the graphics card. So right now, I am using, if we go into the Apple menu and check it out, more info. Right now, I am in fact using the NVIDIA GeForce GT 650M. You might need to zoom in a little bit more on that so you can see. Whoa, not that much. the NVIDIA GeForce GT 650M. So there you go. But if I go ahead and kill Minecraft, I'm going to have to actually kill this and reopen it. Yeah, it was iPhoto. So now we are in fact using the Intel card. For some reason, iPhoto required the use of the NVIDIA card. I don't know why. Anyways, that's enough of that. So performance on this thing is pretty good. It's fast enough. It's not terribly fast because of the spinning hard drive. I'm sure if I had an SSD in here, which one day I will upgrade to an SSD, but like I say, kind of still waiting on the technology to mature a little bit and become a little bit more robust. And then I will be able to do that. So let's go ahead and kill this, because you guys now know that I don't have any music on here. Let's open up one more application. What's a good one? What is a good one? Let's open up Algodo. Little physics simulation. Bam. So there you go. It's decently fast, like I say. So anyways, let's go ahead and kill that and move on. Finally, let's go ahead and do a sleep test. So I've got automatically require a password enable, or I've got that disabled. So let's go and close this. What we're waiting for here is we're waiting for this light to start pulsing. Might move this up a little bit. Alright, as you can see it's pulsing. That means it's asleep. So let's give it a few seconds. Alright, that should be enough. Let's go ahead and open it back up. Pretty instant. So, like I say, that's also a little bit inconsistent. Sometimes it wakes up faster than others, but there you go. Now let's talk about gaming. Gaming on this thing is pretty good. I currently play 3 games on this. One is an old Star Wars game, probably from the PlayStation 1 era. I also play Portal 2 and Minecraft. Sometimes I experience frame drops when playing games, but that's to be expected on any consumer laptop. Otherwise, the gaming experience is pretty good. The next few clips are gaming examples of the 3 mentioned games recorded using ScreenFlow, so you can watch them and decide for yourself how the gaming is. Also, none of these clips are exactly highlights of my gaming skills, so don't be expecting much from them.
This isn't good. I'd better find this Allura.
You cannot hope to defeat me. You are weak.
Deploying. Uh-oh, no boost malfunction. Resting. Hello, searching down. Nap time. Help. Assistant human. No hard feelings. Malfunction.
Okay, so now let's go ahead and take a look at some Cinebench benchmarks. This is a way of going about benchmarking the graphics performance of a computer. So let's go ahead and do it. Let's start off with the GPU. Alright, and as you can see, we've got 35.27 frames per second on that. Let's go ahead and run the CPU test. As you can see, we got a score of 6.23 points, whatever that means. In conclusion, I definitely would still recommend the 15-inch non-retina MacBook Pros. Even though they are now previous generation technology, they still perform very well in today's world of computing, but because they are using older technology, they might not last you as long as a more up-to-date Retina MacBook Pro in terms of performance, but they still certainly have a spot in today's market. Although I rarely use it, having the super drive built into the computer as opposed to having an external one is a nice thing to have, especially if someone wants me to burn some DVDs for them and I have my computer with me. I also appreciate the little bonuses such as the sleep indicator light, which not only looks nice, but also tells me whether or not the computer is turned on or not when it's closed up or when the display is powered off. I don't really see how Apple could not have incorporated that into the Retina MacBook Pros, but I do believe they will do that in the future. Having the battery level indicator is also a nice touch, and it looks cool when activated. Some other advantages you get with the non-Retina MacBook Pro over the Retina MacBook Pro range from simple things like having a side-loading MagSafe connector as opposed to a front-loading one, which I think puts unnecessary strain on the cable, to more obvious ones like having an Ethernet port built in as opposed to having to buy an overpriced adapter. I also like the upgradability of the non-Retina MacBook Pros. There are some disadvantages as well, such as the fact that the non-Retina models are 25% thicker than the Retina models and are also a bit heavier. One other thing that makes the non-Retina model worth considering is that you can buy an anti-glare model. While the Retina MacBook Pros do have anti-glare technology in their glossy displays that help reduce glare, you can still get glare issues with them, whereas the anti-glare MacBook Pros are basically glare-free. Sometimes you can get glare on them, but it's rare and practically unnoticeable when it does become an issue. My only complaint is that the aluminum bezel isn't very appealing to me in the aesthetics department, but it's actually started to grow on me, so I can forgive it. That's going to do it for this video, guys. I hope you all enjoyed it. Tell me what you thought of this video in the comment section down below, as this is my first time making a video like this. So that's going to do it, guys. Thanks for watching, and adios.